She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author, obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies.
Give me every little detail.
Of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
And then the other thing that I do with my mentors, because I talk to them often, and so I'll tell them some situation. And I'm not telling them situations sometimes because I'm looking for information, but sometimes I'll say something to them and they're like, oh no, that's not right. You need to go this. Or sometimes I will have something. But what ultimately happens, anytime they give me advice, I follow up with them and tell them the result of the advice they gave me.
Good morning, good life. Welcome back to Detail Therapy. You just heard a little piece of my conversation with Dzidra Jr. of MGM Resorts International. In this episode, we're talking about mentorship. Where do you find mentors? What do you ask them? And how can you make the absolute most of these relationships? Finding community, whether it's at the gym, at the office, or online. Where can you find a group of people to look to for support? And insecurity. How does insecurity impact the way we work or the way we connect with other people? We have a lot to get into today, but for those of you who are new to the show, my name is Amy Landino, and I will be your host. I'm a YouTube creator, podcaster, business coach, public speaker, and best-selling author. I'm here to help you go after the life that you want. You can find out more details about me at youtube.com/AMYTV. So excited to tell you, I can't even say the word details anymore. That seems like a requirement of the show. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be such a good one. You might remember I told you a couple episodes prior in this season that I sat down with a lot of amazing women at the Women's Leadership Conference at MGM, and Dzidra is one of those people. I was very excited to sit down with her, but I did not realize how excited I was going to be about the chat when we were done. This is a conversation I've been wanting to share with you for a while in terms of how we talk about mentorship, what mentorship in the modern day looks like, and how you can actually approach people to have them be a mentor. So I'm just so pleased that this is happening now, and just wanted to update you on that. And this episode is sponsored by MGM. They really facilitated this whole thing happening, brought Detail Therapy into their event so that we could talk to some really brilliant women. And so if not for them, this episode would not be possible. So I wanted to give them that awesome shout out. And specifically, thank you, Bev Jackson, for making this happen. If you have not heard the Bev Jackson episode yet, it's so good. You will definitely want to check that out. But I don't want to waste a lot of time today because I think this topic is so important. So with that, let's get into my chat with my next guest. Dzidra Jr. is MGM Resorts National Diversity Sales Manager. She's also an active member of multiple organizations, including Meeting Professionals International, National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners, and National Association of Female Executives. National like a boss over here, girl. So Dzidra, let's get into it. Dzidra Jr., welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amy.
Why do you do what you do?
Because it's a passion of mine. I remember when I first found out what sales managers did, and I decided that was something I wanted to do because I'm very passionate about working with customers. I mean, initially when I saw this job, I thought it was, the sales managers dressing up. They dressed up and they went to dinner with customers. And I was like, oh, I love clothes. I love to eat. I can do that job. And so that was the reason, my initial reason of why I did it. Now I do it because I just like the win. I love the thrill of the kill. I love the relationships that are cultivated throughout this whole process. It's just a very rewarding job.
Has sales always come naturally to you? Is that why you're into this? Or like, what is it about sales that you get excited about?
Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
The particular market that I have always worked has not been the ideal market segment or the business model that we're accustomed to booking in Las Vegas. We want that Sunday through Thursday business, but the market that I work is association market. And so they're typically Thursday through Sunday. And I just kind of like the challenge. They call them ugly babies, and I like to help the hotels figure out how to make those babies pretty. And the process of getting to that, it's so entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, it might not be entertaining for the hotels, but it's so entertaining for me. And then once it's done, it's wonderful.
Yeah. You get
It's a
to
thrill
live in the
kill.
win.
Mhm.
Yes.
You help the customer and then you help the hotel.
I love that. Okay, so I just want to point out that we are also at the Women's Leadership Conference here that the MGM Foundation puts on now for 13 years. You've been with the company for 13, right?
For 13 years when it started.
Were you here with the first WLC?
I was here and on the committee with the first
Really?
WLC.
Okay, so I'm wondering, why was this something that you guys wanted to start with the foundation? Why was this something that was important to MGM?
When we first had the very first meeting about WLC, it was actually called Women of Color back then, the purpose behind it was to bring an educational tool for women in Las Vegas because we traveled often. And when you're on the East Coast, you see that there's so many opportunities for women when it comes to empowering conferences. But it was just not something that was on the West Coast, and especially not in Vegas. And so with the chambers, we had the chambers account, we had all these businesses and women-owned businesses, and they just didn't have an avenue locally to go and get education on business and empowering and to get that type of message. And so that was the initial reasoning for why that the organization started or the conference started. And then in doing so, there was that, okay, we can start this conference and we can provide a tool for our women in our community because it started within our community affairs department. And that's what we do, provide tools for our community to make it better. Then any revenue that we generated from it, we would give back to the community and the associations that helped us create that participated in creating the conference.
What was one of them? Maybe it was one of the themes in the first couple of years, or when it transitioned to WLC from what the first iteration was. What was the biggest, maybe some of the biggest problems or the biggest challenges that women faced that you really wanted to help them with this event and with this mission?
Advocating for themselves, understanding what it meant to have a brand, understanding how to have mentors. You'd be amazed at how many women, if you just had a conversation with your circle of people and asked them who are their mentors, do they have a board? Like I have the board of Dzidra. Do you have a board of Amy?
I love that you said that. I always talk about, do you have a personal board of directors?
Yes. And who's
who
in
are
your
they?
front row?
And what are their roles? And what do you ask them for?
Right. And and so now it's even, how do you find them? How do you select them? And I find now that as people come to me for me to mentor them, I find I get frustrated because they come and they don't even know how to start the conversation. And so you need conferences like this to help women get out of their way, to help them navigate through life, to help them with growth.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit because I really love this topic. And I also think that nowadays with content the way that it is and the internet and the social and all the things, you can actually have more people on your board than maybe even who know what your name is. So let's start with the one where you're actually really asking somebody to mentor you. How do you ask that? How do you know you're asking the right person? And how do you start that conversation?
For me personally, what I did, because I have a very diverse board, I went to the president of the board and I said to her, because I liked her style. I like a visionary. I like a strategist. I liked how she presented and how I like a person that's very effective in getting things done. And so I knew that I had some challenges. And one of the first things I said to her was that I need your help with, there's something that I do that intimidates people. And so, and being in this role, I'm very much so interested in hearing about what people are saying about me when I'm not around. And if I don't like it, then I have to figure out how to address it. Now, I don't care if they talk about my style and my hair, but if they're saying, well, she's mean or, she's intimidating. And at that particular time, what the word that kept coming up was that I was intimidating. And I was like,
and it's
me? How am I intimidating?
Yeah. And that's a lot to take on as a woman, because you're like, but am I really intimidating, or is it coming off in another way and that's just the word they're using? How do you actually break that down?
Right. And so that was what I went to her with. And I said, I have to figure this out because I have to work with 12 hotels and I have all these sales managers that I have to work with. And in our industry, while, yeah, we get evaluated on a work performance, but likability is very, that it matters in the hospitality industry. And they're my internal customer. So I needed to figure out what it is that I was doing, because all I'm doing is I'm a fact-based person. I'm going to give you nothing but facts. And so I said to her, I need help with that. Can you help me with this? And she said, absolutely. I go, great. And I explained to her what I liked about her work ethic. And so she said that she would do that.
Oh, I love this.
And
Okay.
so, but I went with, here's what I'm trying to get accomplished.
That is brilliant. I mean, because so often it's like, okay, I need a mentor. I'm going to go find a mentor. So, hey, Deirdre, will you mentor me? That is such a big ask, because it might even be something they're interested in, but it's still vague.
Right.
So you're saying, what is the actual thing that this person can help you with, and actually just ask them that thing.
Right.
And then keep following up, keep improving, keep showing them you're doing something about it, so that it actually is a mentoring relationship.
Yes.
Not defined by the word, defined by the action.
Yes. And so the very first lesson, I remember I was walking down the hall with one of my colleagues, and something had happened. And I knew that I had made him feel a certain kind of way. And so I said to my mentor at the time, I go, you know what? I love him. He's like my brother. And he said, I did something that I know made him feel a certain way. And she says, well, you need to go figure it out. I go, okay. So I was with him. And so I start to ask him questions. I go, when we were talking about this, I noticed that this and this and that, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I did, that makes you, how did I make you feel? Because you said I made you feel away, but you couldn't figure out what it was. And so I started rattling off, did I scare you? Did I started rattling off all these different adjectives. But then I finally asked him, I knew what I was thinking when I was asking him those questions. So I said to him, I was thinking that he was stupid.
I mean, it's at least an option, right? Like, okay, are you stupid? Did I do this?
Because I was like, that is just so dumb. Why is he doing this? And so I said to him, did I make you feel stupid? Yes. And so I was like,
that's a thing.
And so for me, it was like, Dzidra, you are thinking things and it's coming out. Because what happens is, and the ultimate issue was, when you tell me no, I seek to understand why. And I don't seek to understand why because I want to know why. I seek to understand why so that I can change up my questions to get what I want.
Right.
And it trips people up.
As a good saleswoman would. As a good saleswoman would do.
And the firing off of questions like that, it does make, because I'm asking you 5 questions that I already know the answer to. I just need you to know it. And it's not even that. It's just, it's a process of elimination. But in doing that, it does make people feel stupid. And ultimately, now they're intimidated to deal with you because they feel like you're going to outsmart them.
Yeah.
And so it took years for me to learn how to stop doing that. I mean, like 2 years ago, I stopped because I had another mentor.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, I have this little challenge. And I explained to him the challenge. And he laughed at me because he says, I do the same thing. I said, I go, but you're a C-suite executive. He says, I know. And so he explained to me, here's how you deal with that. He goes, I know why you do it. I understand why you do it because I do the exact same thing. And he says, sometimes I can't help myself and sometimes I just do it just because. But here's what you do so that people feel that you've empowered them opposed to taking away their power.
There's like so many ahas that I'm having from this conversation, but I think the big one is, and something I struggle with specifically, is asking for help. And there's so many things happening here where you've decided to face something that is probably coming from you, probably a challenge that you're putting out to people and saying, let's just figure it out. I need to improve it.
Right.
I still need to be me, but I also need to understand that I do have a brand. It doesn't matter if you're actually the brand of MGM or you're the brand of Deirdre, right?
Right.
How do people feel when they interact with me? It doesn't matter if you're in sales or you're the janitor.
Right.
That matters.
It does matter.
And wanting to break that down is what's putting you in a better situation for mentorship, and somebody saying, oh, let me offer you a different perspective. Let me offer you a men's perspective to this, how
Right.
I would have handled
Right.
it. And it's good to get all of those different
Yes.
points of view so that we can assess, what's going to actually be the best way for us to do this for ourselves.
Yes.
I just love that.
Yes. And then the other thing that I do with my mentors, because I talk to them often, and so I'll tell them some situation. And I'm not telling them situations sometimes because I'm looking for information, but sometimes I'll say something to them and they're like, oh no, that's not right. You need to go this. Or sometimes I will have something. But what ultimately happens, anytime they give me advice, I follow up with them and tell them the result of the advice they gave me. And sometimes they ask me to do things that I don't want to do, like podcast
And thank you for being on
and
the show.
public speaking, and they'll give me pointers on it. And so when it goes well, I always send them an email. And anytime I get an award or any type of success or any appointment to a board, I will tell them, look what we have. Look what you've created.
Okay, first question. Who are you going to be saying, oh, the podcast actually wasn't that bad to? Who?
One of the board of Dzidra members that's actually here at this conference.
I love
She's a
it.
speaker, Layla Rack.
Perfect. Layla, thank you for...
I just told her, I go, guess what I'm getting ready to do? A podcast. You know how I just can't stand that whole public speaking thing. I'm going to do it.
Did I make it kind of okay?
Because we're talking about things that are passionate to me. So yes.
I mean, I'm here to help you talk about what you love.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So when we talk about your personal board of directors, which I think is also our fancy way of saying you can be mentored by a lot of different people.
Yes.
So let's get back to that. Do you have anyone on this personal board of mentors that maybe, or board of directors that doesn't know who you are, but you pay attention to them, or maybe you don't, but is there somebody that you feel mentors you that you're really just paying attention to them, whether it's content or something that they're posting online regularly where they motivate you to be a better version of yourself? Let's take a quick break before we get into that. For this episode of Detail Therapy is also brought to you by my Shine Squad. So if you're not familiar yet, head over to patreon.com/AMYTV. You're going to see there's a lot of different options, and we just rolled out a brand new one, and that is Shine Like a Boss. Now, this is for those of you who are in business for yourself or are thinking about going into business for yourself. And you need to surround yourself with not only uplifting people, but uplifting people who can teach you what not to do. When you go into business, it's very important to have the right mentors, but also the right coaches that can show you the direction you should be going in and to skip the mistakes. So that is what this is all about. We do live mastermind calls where I directly answer your question and go deep with what you should do, where you should go, and what you should not do specifically. We have an exclusive Slack channel for you to have conversations with other like-minded businesses as well as myself. I have weekly office hours where we can chat. And we also have a specific direction that we focus on every month so that you know what things you should be working on in your business so that you can grow the business. And not only will I answer any questions that you have, but we have specific things that we help to challenge you with month over month. So the theme for October is brand identity. So we're really working on what your mission statement is, what your vision is, and who you're talking to. So you can understand what it really means to have a brand. It's not just about the colors, okay? So I want you to check that out, but there's lots of other options in Shine Squad if you just need an uplifting community but don't have a business. Go find out more details at patreon.com/AMYTV. That's patreon.com/AMYTV. I'll see you in the squad. Now, back to my conversation with Dzidra.
Yes, thank goodness for social media.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean there's people that you like that I don't get to see as often. And I watch what they do. Like matter of fact, there's a speaker that came here that actually I brought here for. I didn't know her. It was someone that I met and I heard about her book and I read her book and now we're friends. She's not on the BOD, but I absolutely watch her and I've watched her grow from where she is, where she was, and where she is now. And I enjoy watching her speak because it's like, oh, it's inspirational.
Yeah.
But
so you have your BOD, which I love.
Yes.
And you also have just sort of like your remote mentors or your remote
people that you admire.
Yeah.
And just watching how they do things and, sometimes have lunch with them and just listening to them talk about, how they're navigating through because we're all navigating through something. But absolutely, I call those influencers.
Oh, okay. There's another way to use that word. Perfect. Okay. I just love that. Thank you so much for that. I want to get into the details, though, of Dzidra. So tell me, what is it like when you wake up in the morning? What's a typical morning routine for you?
Well, when I'm being good,
Those are always good days, right?
yes, when I'm being consistent, my ideal morning is I get up at 4 a.m. I go to the gym. I'm a member of this gym called Raw Fitness, and I've been a member for 2 years. For me to be a member and pay over $1,000 for a membership to a gym, it is like
And actually go.
Yeah, and actually enjoy it.
Yeah. So why do you love it so much? What kind of routine is it?
I like the camaraderie. It's kind of like CrossFit, and you go and you know that you're not going to win. There's different stations and you're in those stations and there's different exercises and you're doing them, repetitiously, and then you stop for a few moments and you do it again. And you just know you're not going to get through the lunges. You know you're going to die when it's burpee time, and then they tell you to go jog around hit a lap or do a sprint, and then
they want to kill you.
Yeah, because they're trying to kill me. But there's something that's and I go, and when they see me dying, you've got people. There's no competition. There's no ego there. And you have people that'll motivate you. There will be like, oh no, honey, come on, you can do it. When I'm like crawling around the lap, and when I decide that I've done enough burpees, I don't want to do another lunge. I cannot get on that TRX today. I just can't. But it's just inspiring to be around that first thing in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And all I ever say is good morning, and I laugh, and because I'm not a morning person, not that type of a morning person.
Right. Well, and I always say this, right? There's waking up and making the most of your morning.
Right.
And there's being a morning person. They
Right.
do not have to be the same
Right.
all the time.
Right.
You just know how to set yourself up for success. So what happens after that?
And so then I get home and I get the kid ready. I get him to go. I take him and his buddy to school, and then I come home and get me ready. Now, sometimes I doodle. I work the East Coast market, so sometimes, there's phone calls, there's emails, and then if not, maybe there's laundry or dishes. But once I finally finish and get that done, I head to work.
Yeah, because you can do a lot of stuff from home because you do have to be up so early with the
Yes.
East Coasters.
And my East Coasters know that I'm up. They have no fear in calling me. So that's kind of a routine now. So a lot of times I won't get to work till maybe 9 or 10 because I'm doing phone calls or emails or something with my customers that time of the morning. And then I go to work. So I don't prefer to talk on the phone in the morning when I'm driving to work, because that's another routine. The routine on the drive is solely music.
What kind of music?
I listen to Kindred Family Souls on is it Sirius? Not Sirius, but Pandora.
Pandora, okay.
So I have Kim, and then I have Kindred Family Soul are my Pandora stations, or I listen to Channel 48 on the Sirius XM, and I sing all the way to work. I sing and I clap and I finger pop. And sometimes I'm going 80. And if you call me, and if it's my mom, if it's my son, and you call and interrupt, if I've got the phone attached to the radio and you interrupt the song, it's the quickest ignore. It can't happen quick enough.
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me?
Vincenzo, can you please make a note that this is why I don't want to take your call? And it could be music, and he gets mad at me too. He will literally answer the phone and say, "You know what song was just in the middle of playing?"
I won't answer.
But even if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm like, I'm in the zone. I like that you pointed out that when you start taking phone calls in the car, it becomes a habit.
Oh no.
And that's not a good habit, because it almost makes you reliant to constantly talk to somebody. You can't even have quiet time in the car, or quiet music time in the car.
Have you ever been on the phone and parked somewhere, and you parked, and then you get in the building, and then you're off the phone and you go to the parking lot and you're like, oh my gosh, where did I park? Because
Yes. Oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of
I
it that
think
way.
that they should
and you're
make
also
that
kind
an
of stuck in the
exercise.
car sometimes.
They should make that an exercise. You talk on the phone, go park. And get into an engaging conversation and park, and then go into the building, stay there for an hour, and then come find your car. But don't tell them that's what you're going to do. Just because that is just how distracting.
That is distracting.
But when you're singing, You know exactly where
You know
parked.
exactly where you were when you're saying that. No, that's a really, really good point. I think even hands-free talking on the phone in the car,
No, I don't
I
like
can
it.
tell when I'm doing it. I'm like, I'm very distracted right now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I love that. Good point. What do you do for self-care? Anything that just takes care of Dzidra?
So lately, because it's been really hectic, and this is going to sound crazy, I like complete silence. This morning when I woke up, because I'm staying here at the hotel because we have customers here, we got back from our walk and it was just silence. And I was like, where's Toon Blast? I did not get to play Toon Blast last night. I like mindless. I like just mindless time.
Yeah.
I like to watch TV because I don't get to watch TV as much. I just want to check out.
Yeah.
And I want to laugh. And I want to watch, although I watch Criminal Minds, but I prefer to watch things that are funny. And
what are some of your favorite comedies that you like to watch?
Anything Madea does, it's just hilarious. Just hilarious. I guess that's
a good one.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Lots to choose from there.
Yes. And I like to cook.
Really?
I like to cook for the family. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I like to host brunches. Cooking is therapeutic for me because I'm really good at it.
Oh,
I cook
that's
really
so
good.
nice.
Yes.
Do you have mimosas at your brunch? Because I'll come.
I have mimosas. I have quiche. I even have a menu for my vegetarians now.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I'm really good at this.
Maybe I could be vegetarian for a day.
I
Let's
have
go to
bourbon
You got it all.
for me, but I have what I call the happy cabinet. Everything is in there.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Does anyone inspire you in terms of style?
Yes. I have one of my dear girlfriends. Her name is Pat Russell McLeod. And she's older than me. But when I tell you every time she leaves the house, and it's not even just her clothes, it's the way she carries herself. I always thought I was pretty stylish in what I do, but she elevates it on a level that I'm asking her now, you're at a conference, where are our pictures? Send me the pictures of what you're wearing.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's her style and her grace. And so, yes.
That's awesome.
She's one that comes to mind immediately.
That's amazing. I love that. I love when it's somebody like that you know and you can just like pick their brain and say, okay,
yes.
I'm going to borrow
and
that
she's
now.
Smart. She's savvy. She's
perfect.
Pistol-y.
Are you a big reader?
I used to be.
Any books or resources that you could point out that were either inspiring or sort of a mindset shift for you that you would recommend?
I do not read the books as much anymore. And let me tell you why. Social media, you can get on Google and Google just about any topic.
It's true.
And so anything that is troubling me, I Google a lot about working with insecure people. I Google a lot of, any topic at work that has annoyed me, I Google it to see if it's a thing. And you'd be amazed at what type of articles you find out there about things that are troubling you or you just have questions about. And so, I'll look at the source. I can't say there's a specific source because, you have to be mindful about what you're reading from. And so there's no consistent source of what I'm reading from, but I Google a lot of stuff. And I find that that's what I do late at night, is Google things and I read articles online. What
crosses your mind to say, I need to Google how to deal with insecure people? Like, what's happening in that moment? Where does that come from? Like, what did somebody do? Because I'm dying to know.
Well, because of I know that I have a very strong personality.
You do.
And
I'm like, is Dzidra gonna Google me later how to deal with me? Because now I'm just curious.
People who are insecure, there are behaviors that you pick up on. Micromanaging. There's just certain things that they do. And I'm always, again, trying to figure out how to win.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
And so oftentimes, sometimes you just need a refresher on the behaviors. And once you understand the behavior, you kind of know how to pivot and manage the situation. But if you Google insecure behavior, in the workplace, watch all the articles that come up. It's so common, and it's troublesome sometimes because there's so many people that are insecure, and yeah, it's interesting. They have some very interesting
They may not even really
personality
know
traits.
it, like truly what they're
But
doing.
people like me who are just simply authentic and I just go for it, can be challenged with working with that personality type.
Yeah.
And because of that, it exerts a lot of energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm always having a Hallmark phrase stuff.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
exhausting.
Yeah, that is. You're like, where are we going
I'm
to
like
find
a
the new Hallmark?
wordsmith of a read. You know, when you want to throw shade in a read,
Yeah.
I got to wordsmith that to soften it up. So they're like,
Yeah, so that they're not saying, oh, that was, they are saying that was nice instead of something else.
that was nicey.
Got it. Okay, you're so much fun. You are such a delight. I want everyone to follow you. Where can everybody follow you on your favorite social media?
Oh, my page is closed, but I might accept people. But I'm on Instagram, All About D. I am on Twitter, and I'm going to start doing a better job about posting more stuff. All About D, at All About D. And I'm on Facebook as well, Dzidra Washington Jr.
Awesome. In a couple minutes, I'm going to record a secret podcast with you if you're up for it.
Okay.
Before I do, I just want to let everyone know they can listen to that over in Shine Squad. That's at patreon.com/AMYTV. But first, my final question. What does it mean to you to go after the life that you want?
What does it mean to me to go after the life? That is, again, about being your authentic self and doing whatever it is that you want to do that brings peace. I'm very into this. Do what you want, whether it's career, whether it's personal. I do what I want. And when I get to a point where I'm doing something that I don't want to do, then you move. You figure out another plan. But I think that for me, it's very important to have peace of mind, to have serenity in my life. And that for me is most important. And, of course, there's things that come with that, financial independence and having a great career and just, again, being settled and owning who you are. Those things.
Love that. Thanks for being on the show, Dzidra.
Sure. Thank you for making it so fun.
All right, let's catch the deets on this conversation. What a great one. First of all, find a board of you. I personally call this my personal board of directors. Find a circle that you can learn from and lean on for support, even if they don't necessarily know they're a mentor to you. Somebody doesn't actually have to be next to you in order to be that mentor, but they can mentor you if you're paying close attention to what they're doing, not just what they say. If you have a mentor, get specific about what you want to learn. And if you admire someone's work ethic, tell them, work on emulating that skill for yourself and work with that mentor on ways you can constantly improve. And finally, you do not have to be a morning person to make the most of your morning. I love saying this every time. Duh. As long as you give yourself time to refresh, recharge, and get ready for the day, your mornings will set you up for success in the way that you want them to. That is today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go hit up Deirdre on social and let her know. And by the way, do you like getting advice straight to your earbuds? I want to send you some simple steps for living your best life every day. And that's with my free audio training with the 7 essential details to go after the life that you want. To receive this audiogram, all you got to do is review the podcast and take a screenshot that you did. Send that over to me at hello@detailspodcast.com with audiogram, please, in the subject line, and we'll get that right over to you. You can also listen to Deirdre's secret podcast segment over in Shine Squad at patreon.com/AMYTV. Like I said, new podcast Monday through Friday, only 5 to 10 minutes. So if you love having these conversations with me and you want one every day, this is a great way to do that. It's available to every tier of the Shine Squad. So even at just the $4 level, you're in. Patreon.com/AMYTV is where you can get more details about that. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If you'd like to discover even more actionable details, head over to AMYTV by visiting youtube.com/AMYTV or searching for AMYTV in your YouTube app. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life that you want. Cheers.